In the late 1960s, a faceless shadow crept across Northern California, a figure who stalked lovers in the dark, ambushed innocents, and then taunted the world with letters dipped in arrogance and blood. He called himself Zodiac. He wasn't just a killer. He was a puppeteer of fear, sending cryptic codes to newspapers, mocking police, and promising fresh terror. His reign left bodies, mysteries, and a haunting question that lingers more than half a century later. Who was the Zodiac Killer? It began on the night of December 20th, 1968. A quiet Friday evening in Vallejo, California. 17-year-old David Faraday and his girlfriend, 16-year-old Betty Lou Jensen, parked along a secluded stretch of road known as Lake Herman Road. It was the kind of spot where young couples went to talk, to dream, or to share a quiet moment away from the world. But that night, their privacy was shattered. At approximately 11:15 p.m., another vehicle pulled up. What happened next would echo in horror for decades. Shots rang out in the darkness. David was found beside the car, fatally shot in the head at point-blank range. Betty Lou ran, but bullets followed her. She collapsed just feet away from the road, her body riddled with 5 shots in the back. There was no robbery, no apparent motive, just 2 innocent teens executed. At the time, investigators struggled. No one knew this was just the beginning. 6 months later, July 4, 1969, Independence Day celebrations filled the air with fireworks. But for Darlene Ferrin, a 22-year-old waitress, and her friend Mike Mageau, the night ended in gunfire. They parked at Blue Rock Springs Park, just outside Vallejo. Another car arrived, pulling in behind them. The driver stepped out. First, Mike thought it was a police officer. But within seconds, the figure raised a flashlight, then a gun. He fired relentlessly into the car. Darlene was hit multiple times. Mike, though gravely wounded, survived. But the horror wasn't finished. At 12:40 a.m., just minutes after the shooting, the Vallejo Police Department received a call. A calm male voice confessed to the attack and claimed responsibility for the murders of David Faraday and Betty Lou Jensen 6 months earlier. It was the first time the world heard the Zodiac. Then, in August 1969, 3 newspapers received chilling letters. Each one began the same way. Dear editor, I am the killer of the 2 teenagers last Christmas at Lake Herman. Enclosed with the letters were 3 separate pieces of a 340-character cryptogram. The killer demanded that each paper publish his puzzle, or else, he threatened, he would go on a killing spree. It wasn't just murder anymore. This was theater. The cryptogram, later known as the 408 cipher, was cracked by a schoolteacher and his wife. Hidden inside was a chilling manifesto. I like killing people because it is so much fun. It is more fun than killing wild game in the forest. Man is the most dangerous animal of all. The signature was a crosshair symbol, a circle with a cross through it, the emblem of a self-proclaimed predator. The Zodiac Killer had arrived. Unlike many serial killers who hid in shadows, Zodiac struck in the open. On September 27, 1969, college students Brian Hartnell and Cecilia Shepard were enjoying a picnic at Lake Berryessa. The sun was shining. People were out boating. Seemed safe. But as they relaxed by the water, a man appeared, hooded, cloaked, and armed. On his chest, the same crosshair symbol. He claimed he was an escaped convict, demanded money, and tied the couple up with pre-cut lengths of rope. Then, without hesitation, he pulled out a long knife. He stabbed Brian 6 times, Cecilia 10 times. Miraculously, Brian survived. Cecilia, tragically, died 2 days later. The killer then calmly walked to Brian's car and, with a black marker, wrote this chilling message on the door. Vallejo, December 20th, 68. July 4th, 69. September 27th, 69. 6:30. By knife. The Zodiac wasn't just killing. He was documenting his own crimes. Just 2 weeks later, on October 11, 1969, the Zodiac struck in San Francisco. Taxi driver Paul Stein picked up a fare near Union Square. The passenger directed him to Presidio Heights, a wealthy neighborhood. When they stopped, the passenger shot Paul point-blank in the head. But this time Zodiac made a mistake. Teenagers across the street witnessed the murder. They called police immediately, giving descriptions of the killer as a stocky white male, around 35 to 45 years old, with glasses. Yet, due to a police miscommunication, the suspect slipped away into the night. Later, Zodiac mailed Stein's blood-stained shirt to the San Francisco Chronicle, proof of his crime and another taunt. His message: he could kill anyone anytime. By now, the Zodiac wasn't just a murderer. He was a master manipulator of fear. He flooded newspapers with letters, some boasting, some threatening. He claimed he would target school buses, picking off the kiddies as they come bouncing out. Panic gripped the Bay Area. Parents grew terrified. Schools tightened security. Each letter carried his mocking tone, a mix of puzzles, strange symbols, and chilling promises. One cipher, the infamous 340 cipher, remained unsolved for over 50 years. It wasn't until 2020 that a team of amateur cryptographers cracked it. The message: Zodiac bragged that he wasn't afraid of the gas chamber, because killing gave him an afterlife in paradise, with victims who would become his slaves. It wasn't just murder. It was mythology, crafted by the killer himself. Over the decades, police investigated countless suspects. The most famous was Arthur Lee Allen, a convicted child molester whose life eerily matched many aspects of Zodiac's profile. He wore a Zodiac brand watch with the killer's logo. He lived near Vallejo. Survivors described someone who looked like him. Yet, no evidence ever tied him directly. DNA from stamps and envelopes didn't match. Handwriting comparisons remained inconclusive. Other suspects emerged. Teachers, drifters, even known criminals. Seemed plausible. Each ultimately dissolved into dead ends. The mystery only deepened. By the mid-1970s, Zodiac's letters slowed, then stopped. Some believe he died. Others think he simply walked away, satisfied with the chaos he caused. What remains are scars, both literal and psychological. Survivors like Mike Mageau and Brian Hartnell carried their trauma for life. Families of victims never found closure. And the Bay Area. It lived under the shadow of a phantom who may have been watching from the crowd, reading the headlines, laughing as fear consumed an entire region. To this day, Zodiac's identity is officially unknown. FBI files remain open. Cold case investigators still examine letters, fingerprints, and DNA. Amateur sleuths dedicate their lives to unraveling his ciphers, convinced that one final code will reveal the truth. But perhaps that was his plan all along. To create a myth so powerful, it transcended his own existence. To ensure that his name, Zodiac, would never be forgotten. The Zodiac once wrote, "This is the Zodiac speaking. I will not give you my name because you will try to slow me down, or stop my collecting of slaves for my afterlife." Decades later, the world still doesn't know who he was. What we do know is this: he was more than a murderer. He was an architect of fear, a manipulator of media, a phantom who turned his crimes into legend. And the most chilling truth: he might have been someone ordinary, someone who lived among us, someone whose true face was never unmasked. This was the story of the Zodiac Killer, inside his cryptic messages and his terrifying reign. If you found this story chilling, make sure to subscribe for more true crime cases just like this. Stories of unsolved mysteries, infamous killers, and the dark truths that still echo through time. Turn on notifications, because the next story might just be darker than this one.